I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands.
Welcome to Build an Iconic Life podcast. I'm your host, Chris Whitehead, and this podcast is dedicated to help you build a life with zero regrets by focusing on how you have everything you need to stand up, stand out, and live life on your terms. Let's dive right in. Whether people know this or not, most of us learn our habits by the age of 7 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
And then literally most people spend the rest of their lives living like a 7-year-old,
right?
Just a bigger version. The other thing is that the mind fixedness of a 30-year-old to go from non-selling to selling is a hell of a gauntlet to overcome. Was it hard for you? Did it scare you? Or did
Yes. What actually switched my mindset, I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
And fixated, the engineer in me, fixated on the cash flow quadrant. And I'm like, I'm here. I want to be here. How do I get from here to here? Well, if I go from here to here, then I can go to there. And so that I kind of did the en route instead of direct diagonal, which would have been faster, but you know.
Yeah, you got more experience.
I have more experience. And pretty much have at the time the entire Rich Dad Poor Dad series. I literally read every book that he had written. And then I just started devouring books. And I've got 4 bookcases full of books, and now I do everything on Audible. And sometimes I go and buy the book afterwards because I'm like, I want the extras that were, I want the graphs and all of that stuff to play with.
Yep.
But I just started literally consuming books, and failure wasn't an option.
All right, so let's talk about that real quick. Let's switch it up. You've been very successful as a realtor. You've also had your lows as a realtor. You decided to come back with a vengeance, but what are some of the behaviors or habits that you have that you think are easily able to translate to anyone that have produced success for you? So outside of real estate, outside of actually doing the work of the job, right? I've had a lot of employees in my life. I have never seen people work harder to try not to work. It's just easier to do the damn work.
Right.
So that's part, like, if you're listening to this and where are we? If you're listening to this and you're not doing the work, this next section isn't for you. Anyway, so that's the job stuff. What are the things that you do in your personal life that allow you to live at the most elite level for you that you know of now?
Never stop learning.
Okay.
That's a big one. Another big one for me is, and I gave a testimonial for you when I said it in there. I've been told my whole life, you can't, no matter what it was, you can't, you're going to fail. You're not going to succeed. You can't do that. And so just turning that around, and can't doesn't exist because I can. Failure doesn't exist because I won't allow it to. That doesn't mean you don't make mistakes. It doesn't mean that you don't have a failure in the process, because I certainly have. But if you don't quit, and I've heard you say this 1,000 times, if you don't quit, you're going to succeed. You're going to get there. You got to keep learning, keep experimenting, trying new things, find something that works, find something that doesn't work, leave what works alone, keep doing it, take this thing that doesn't work and replace it with something else or fix it, and keep pushing forward. And I mean, you're helping me with a project now that is skyrocketing my business. I've booked more appointments in the last 2 months than I ever have in my career, and in such a short period of time. So even though I'm 20 years in and I know how to do business, and
you're still willing to innovate.
Absolutely. And there's still growth. There's still plenty of room for me to grow. And so let's go do it.
Okay. So I got 2 things. So what I've heard is constantly willing to learn.
Yes. That's critical.
Number 2 was
innovation, change.
The willingness, the mindset to grow. So personal development. So those are both for your mind.
And never quit.
Never quit. Still mindset. those are all mind. There are other habits that you have. What's another habit that you have that you think allows you to live at an elite level? If you don't know it or to come out, I know what it is. There's 3 areas: mind, body, soul, right? So you got the mind part. You've talked about that. The second one that I know, because I walked in your house, you have literally this dude in your basement on a rocker that, like, you walk by and I punched him in the nose. It's a rubber dude, and it's like,
His name's Bob.
Bob gets his ass kicked a lot, doesn't
Yes, he does.
So you are big into martial arts.
Yes.
You are big into keeping fit.
Yes.
Quite often, like when I came over to your house, I think you had just gotten done working out. So you take care of yourself physically.
Right.
And you're my age.
Mm-hmm. A little older.
Got the tick. So a lot of people, though, our age, stop.
Right.
You haven't stopped.
No.
In fact, you've probably gotten more disciplined with it.
Yes.
Okay, so you take care of yourself physically. So we've got mind, we've got body, and then people say spirit, but spirit's actually mind. They get it wrong. I call it soul. You also have a connection.
Yes.
Right. Tell us about that a little bit, your version of that, what you're comfortable sharing.
So I'm definitely Christian.
Mhm.
Definitely believe in my God. I have a personal relationship. I am not a big religion person, because I think a lot of religions are man created, and I don't think they can fully understand the creator of the universe and the world.
I certainly can't.
So I prefer to believe in my God and know that he created me, and he created me the way I'm supposed to be. And I've learned to lean into that and lean into it even when other people tell me that I'm wrong.
What are some of the ways that you lean into that?
I pray on a regular basis.
Okay.
A
formal prayer or just a conversation?
Just a conversation. It's a daily. I can be just going through my day and just having a conversation with my God, and I'm good with that. And I do get answers back. I mean, if you take the time to have those conversations, it is a two-way conversation. You will get answers back. I also love to be out with nature. Yeah. There's a couple weeks ago, Dave and I were driving around, and we saw a double rainbow.
Yeah.
And I pulled over and I took a picture of it.
Yeah.
And then last weekend we were on our way over to his place, and the most gorgeous sunset. Stop, snap. Those are ways of connecting. There's the backside of Mount Monadnock. There's a trail called the Pompelli Trail. And prior to my car accident, I had climbed that like 4 times in one summer, and I never got to the top. And so the first time I got a third of the way up, and one of the rules of hiking, right? Make sure you can get back down. Yeah. Third of the way up, turn around, go back down. Second time, halfway up, turn around, go back down. And Pompelli actually goes up the spine of the Monadnock Mountains. And so it's a really long trail. It's about, I want to say it's about 4.5 miles. That's me guesstimating.
Yeah, but it's all up, back and forth.
Yeah. So, but it's all up the spine. And so there's like 3 or 4 false peaks where
you think you're there.
You think you're there, and then you look up and you're like, oh, there's a set code. And the reason I only got up a third of the way the first time, there's the beginning. You're about a half a mile in, and you go up the steps. Well, they're granite steps.
Okay.
All right. Each one is about 2.5 feet tall. Well, you're stepping up 2.5 feet, and it goes as far as you can see.
Wow.
And you're like, okay, I can do this. And then you get to the top, and then you look, and it goes as far as you can see that way. And you're like, oh, crap.
Yep.
And it goes that way. And you're like, by the time there's like 4 of them, right? And by the time you get to the top, your legs are burnt out. Your legs are just junk.
Sure.
So I did that twice. The third time I got a little smarter, okay, because we learned from our experience. And I walked up through the woods next to the steps.
Brilliant.
I don't need to step 2.5 feet. I can take 3 steps in between.
Yep.
and get to the same place and not be exhausted. And so the last time up, I got to the final scuttle and was just toast. And it was just a short time after that I had my car accident, and then it's been 11 years getting back, and I haven't gotten back up to the top of that mountain. I fully expect it's going to take 4 tries again, although I'm in much better condition now
Sure.
than I was then.
So what's interesting is, we talked about the mindset, we talked about the body, we talked about your soul and the connection. And when you're taking photos of the double rainbow, when you're investing time in nature, what I kept hearing, or what was slapping me in the face, was it's called gratitude.
Mhm.
And I know that gratitude is one of those things that is a muscle that builds upon itself, and it ties right back into mindset.
Right.
And I don't know about anybody else listening to this, but when I was really trying to figure out, like, information is everywhere and everybody's telling you who to be and how to be and what to do and
Mhm.
what way to do it. And you're just like, I'm finally open to listen to people. And now I've got 80,000 different ways and I don't have enough time to try.
True.
But when I broke it down to the singularities of, faith, family, fitness, and finances, right? So, yes, I have a goal for finances. I have a goal for the people. The family is not only origin, but also choice.
Mhm.
I can choose who I put around me because it feeds my mind. So, faith, family, fitness, my body. Oh, if I don't keep this temple as strong as it can be, all the other areas fall apart. Um, and then faith doesn't necessarily mean in a higher power, although for you and I it does.
Right.
But faith in general of yourself. And the thing that makes me a stronger and stronger person, or a better version of who I am and how I show up in the world, is literally my faith in myself. And my faith for myself actually comes from gratitude that's outside of me.
Mhm.
And I think that's what I hear you saying with all the different ways that you do it. And that's what we were spending an hour in here talking about. We were having such a good time talking about it. And if other people want to hear it, you're going to have to come be a part of Iconic, because we don't talk about it on there. I'm just kidding. But life can be as amazing as you choose it to be. It
Mhm.
can be as much hell as you choose it to be. And I think so many people have decided for the light to go off in them, and they're thinking, I get to go to heaven. What if heaven is the state that you create now, or hell is the state that
Mhm.
you create right now? And yes, the world is going to push against that. Yes, everything is going to use its power to come against that. That's why it's worth building your body up, building your mind up, and building the muscle of faith up through
Mhm.
gratitude, because that's what I've noticed carries me from peak to peak.
Right.
And the cool thing is there's an old poem about footsteps in the sand, right?
Yes.
Um,
I have it hanging up at my house.
yeah.
Love it.
And when I finally realized that I used to be so angry at God, what I realized is, without God, where would I have actually been?
Right.
Because I'd have been a ship without a rudder.
Right.
And I felt like I was a ship without a rudder, but then experience started showing me people that truly don't have a rudder.
Mhm.
And the cool thing is I saw my life starting to go like this, and I saw other people kind of doing this.
Right.
And for personalities like yours and mine, the worst torture in the world is doing the same thing over and over and over and actually getting the expected result.
Right.
The only expected result that I want is the new one, the new goal that I put out in
Mhm.
front of me and accomplishing it. So who the hell cares if it takes 4 more times to get up there? At least you're doing it again.
Right.
And I tell you one thing, 2.5-foot steps of 4 different flights, that's a workout, man.
It's almost a mile. So it's almost a quarter.
And you literally did that before the next time you were like, oh, I don't have
I did
to.
it 3 times that way.
And then you realize I could just literally walk right
Mhm.
here. Yeah.
Well, because walking on the side, remember, it's steep. Walking
Well,
on the
steep like
side,
this on either
yeah,
side, because you're on a ridge.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, not so much that as it is, it's steep this way.
Yeah.
And so walking up the side actually entailed holding onto trees and pulling myself up. But now I'm using more arms and legs.
Was it slippery? Is that why?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's all leaves, it's pine needles, it's the mountains.
Okay.
You know, it's
Mhm.
and so yeah, there's and you
You find yourself back down the mountain. Okay.
and sliding on, whatever loose gravel is there. And so yeah, you're literally pulling yourself up. But that was okay, because I did it this way 3 times, and each time I was getting a little further, but I was still a long way from the top. And when I went up the side of it, I got up that first mile and said, "Oh, I still got a lot left." And that's when I got all the way up to the final scuttle. And there's probably 4 or 5 bear crawls where you're going up a slab of granite, right? This massive boulder. And thank God you're wearing hikers because you need the traction you're bear crawling up. And so even that comes after the steps. And so it's quite the trail. It is by far my favorite trail, even though I've never gotten to the top.
So I came here after the Man in the Mountain fell down, which is really sad, because it's literally the logo
Right.
of one of my businesses. But
No, what's really sad is I've lived here my whole life and I never got to see it in person.
So, but what I did get to see, because I like to ski as well, so I got to see all the rubble.
Yeah.
People don't understand, like, I can't explain it probably effectively, but you're driving in a car on a highway and you look up at a mountain and you're like, well, that's where it used to be. And then you see these like small rocks. Those are not small rocks. Those are boulders the size of this room.
Yes.
But they look that is a hell of a peak. And in my late 20s, I started mountain climbing, like literally chalk on the back, no shirt, grippy shoes, way too tight. And I got into it by free climbing a 300-foot wall with a backpack on. And at about 150 feet, I had to do a crossover, which is a no-no.
Right.
You never cross your feet, but I got myself into a position. And I remember when I did the backpack slid, and man, I started praying. Like it was for real, because there was no going down. That's just as dangerous as continuing to go back up. And also, I'm 6'2", and I'm not really built for mountain climbing. I'm built more to probably be a linebacker if I'm in that kind of shape. But the kid that I was with, he was 18 years old. He had scored 1,600 on SATs. He had gone to some university up here, and he was working for me in the painting company that I had at the time. And he's just having the time. He's like jabberjawing to me the whole time, and I'm like, chalk, 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 chalk. Like I'm sweating my guts out. And we get to the top, and I've never been more proud in my life to have actually accomplished something.
Right.
Because in the midst of that fear, it was either do it or die.
Right.
And I've never forgotten the lesson, because in business and in personal life, but in business, there have been many opportunities where I realized I can let off the gas anytime I want. And just go back to living an ordinary life.
Yep.
All these problems can go away. I don't have to do this. I see these people in 9-to-5 jobs. They go home. They seem happy. But unfortunately, I'm built differently.
Right.
And it's the willingness to do the kinds of things you're talking about and innovate through it. Like, who the hell cares you did it 3 times? I think it's funny. I really think it's funny. And I really wish I'd watched you do it while I was climbing up the other side going, wow, that looks really hard. Sorry,
do you
Terry.
realize
Keep going.
I've never seen anybody but me go up the side.
You mean up the... Oh, you mean
everybody goes up the steps. Everybody goes up the steps.
So growing up, I had to mow mom and dad's lawn. Mom did catch me one time doing the shot put with the lawnmower because I was 16. I was mad. Came home from dad's, drove 4 hours on a Trailways bus, come home from dad's, and I have to mow another lawn. It's like, yep. She's like, Chris? I was like, what? She's like, go pick up the mower. Yes, ma'am. Walk all the way down to the field, pick the mower up, brought it back up. But my point being is that I used to mow that lawn every different way, from going from the inside and doing big circles to doing the outside and doing straight lines, all to time myself to see what's the fastest way to do it. And that's what I figured out about business. By the way, business is really simple. People make it really complicated. It's actually really simple. But the bottom line is, why not make a game out of it and figure out how to innovate through the process to get the result that you actually want? Right. And I think when I asked you this question, like, what are the personal habits that you have? If people are actually listening to you, it's an outlook on life that you have.
Right.
And that's what helps you define success for you.
Right.
So I've got one more question for you before we end.
And so
go ahead.
Can I come back to that one?
Yeah. Come right now.
So you see that today.
Yeah.
11 years ago, I was grinding it out to be that average agent. 11 years ago, I had a car accident. And we've talked a little bit about it. That car accident almost paralyzed me from the neck down. The doctors were telling me I would never walk normal again. Forget climbing Pompelli, forget horseback riding, forget martial arts. You're not going to walk again. This bottle of water I couldn't pick up for 9 months. It took me 18 months to learn to walk again. During that time, I still had bills to pay.
Yeah.
During that time, I had no choice. I was told by the broker that I worked with at the time, get out of the business. Okay, well, how does that help me? Because
I still have to make money.
I still have to make money.
And I know this.
And I'm no longer skilled as a software engineer. I've been out of accounting now for 15 years. Like, what else am I going to do?
Right.
I'm not marketable.
Right.
And so I switched companies. Silver lining to my car accident was I switched companies to a company that had massive amounts of training available for you to go get. Right. And so I learned and innovated again. And I was out of work for 4.5 months. When I went back to work the next 4.5 months through taking that class I talked about, Business Objective Life by Design, bold, I took that class, and in that 8 weeks, I generated $40,000 in income.
Hell yeah.
That was almost probably half what I used to make in an entire year, and I generated it in 8 weeks. Oh.
Mm-hmm. I wonder what else I can do.
I wonder what else I can do. That changed this.
Mm-hmm.
And when that changed, everything has changed. So now it's a game. Now it's a game. Okay, well, this is what I made before. Now this is what I can do. This is how many deals I did before. This is how many I did now. This is how many appointments I could book. This is how many I do now. And how do I keep ratchet up?
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing. It's like, but there's got to be a trigger that changes that.
It's the same thing for me. In Virginia, I had employees. At one point, I had 12 or 13 employees, but I had never had $1 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about being poor as the business owner, right? I moved up here and I tried to start a business, but it was in a recession, 08, 09. I moved up here in 09. And so it was not easy. So I went and got a job, and I went and got a job at a top 50 remodeling company, local.
Mm-hmm.
And not my first year because it was only a half year, but my second year, I sold $1 million. Stayed there one more year, and then I went out on my own. Within 2 years, we were at 7 figures.
Mm-hmm.
It was so important to me, not 999,999. It had to be 1 million.
Right.
Same mindset. Something had to click in my head to give me permission.
Right.
There's an adage that it's harder to get to 1 million than it is to 10.
Exactly.
And for me, it took me almost 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite, but almost 20 years to get there.
Right.
And Dad was right. I should have gone and worked for a company first because I was a computer science person too. I had no reason to start a remodeling company. It's just being Chris Whitehead. But that's why I wrote the book, How to Make Today's Ceiling Tomorrow's Floor, because all I realized is I have these limiting beliefs that I did not see,
right?
But I was living by them, living in sheer frustration,
right?
Because I actually wanted what was on the other side. I just didn't know how to do. I'll do anything for what I want. Everybody will.
Right.
But I won't do anything if I don't know that I'm going to get what I want.
True. You have to believe that you're going to get it.
Well, that's the key, but that's not where you're sitting when you're looking over here. You're like, oh, well, that must require a lot of marketing dollars. That must require this. I must have this first in order to buy a home. Right. I mean, there's a deal that you're working with people. It's like, here's how you can become an investor and not use any of your own money.
Right.
It's like, what? Yeah, it's very, very true.
Very true. And we have fun doing it.
But if you don't know what the result is, there are 80,000 options to get there. The bottom line is you just actually have to believe you're going to receive it.
Right.
Then the opportunities start showing up and your gut tells you move this way, move that way. Intuition really starts to kick in.
It does.
And the way that I know it's true, we have something called a reticular activating system. It's in our it runs our unconscious mind, and there are about 7 things at any given time that thing is focused on. So if you go buy a black truck and you think you're the only one, the next day you'll see black trucks everywhere. If you learn a brand new word, you start reading it everywhere. That's just simply a reticular activating system. But people quit on themselves because no one told them. And it's one of the things that upset me about public education. Nobody set me up to be my own person, to be successful.
Right.
I felt like I was being set up to be a cog in a wheel with the opportunity that if I'm willing to claw other people down, step on their head while being an honest person, where I don't know how that worked, that I would possibly be successful with an education, with this, with that. And what I found is I've met entrepreneurs all over the country now. There's so many people, they're not self-made because no one ever gets there alone, but they did make a decision.
Right.
And the decision is that I'm going to take the governor off of this motorcycle. And that's really the testimony that you've been giving today is I won't quit on me.
Right.
And I'm really, that's why we're aligned. I'm really proud of you for being that kind of person, because I look for those kind of people and sometimes they're not so easy to find. What I found was when I finally let go of that, they're becoming very easy to find, because that was another limiting belief. And
we're all over the place.
My last question for you is this. What are you most excited about now?
So I'm most excited about some of the stuff that you're helping me with.
Cool.
Because I'm back to being a single agent, which I'm loving. And we're changing our marketing up. I've never been a big marketer. I've been just face to face,
You're damn good at it too.
Thank you. But it's when I let me be me, I'm a really cool person, and that person comes out, and I've stopped trying to be anybody else.
Yep.
So that's one thing. But I'm super excited about the marketing that we're doing and the ability to take that and scale that to a level that I can't even imagine what that's going to look like right now, because we're just scratching the first rung.
Yeah, we're putting
ladder.
We're putting the foundation in right now.
And at that level, combining the new stuff that we're doing with what I already do, my business is right now poised to double what I did last year. So
yeah, that ain't bad.
That ain't bad.
Hey, in a market where most realtors are getting out of the business.
Yes, because they can't do any business. They can't find a deal to save their life.
Keep going.
So the interesting thing is I'm seeing the growth and the tidal wave that's coming at me. Because this is going to keep compounding and it's going to keep getting bigger and bigger. And I'm also looking at it and saying, how do I innovate faster? Because to do what I've always done the way I've always done it, I can't handle that volume.
Correct.
And so that's the excitement too, is how do I, and this is a question when we came through the pandemic and our governor said, you can't show property. I said, how do I sell a house if I can't show it? And we asked the question, we did video, we did walkthroughs, we did all kinds of things. We even said, if you want to buy this house, the top 5 offers get to go look at the house. We were the first ones my team came up with that. We said, is there any reason why we can't do this? And everyone went, I don't think so. Well, nobody's ever done that. I said, I didn't ask if they'd done it. I asked, can we do it? And the answer came back, yes. We even went to the legal and said, can we force people to write offers and then only show those people that wrote the 5 best offers? Because we're not signing anything.
Yep.
After they see it, they can adjust it. They can drop out. They can go forward. They can go up, go down, whatever they want. And so that's how we sold houses. And we had our best year ever in the pandemic. As agents were dying, they couldn't do a deal to save their life. And so now I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, how do I and what do I need to do to handle this volume that's going to be potentially 6, 8, 10 times what I'm accustomed to? How do I do that without increasing expenses? Because I don't want to increase my expenses.
Well,
I don't believe I need to.
Technology helps a lot with that.
It does.
Quite a lot. And that's what I was fortunate enough to be around, really, really smart people that actually do it, not the ones that are trying to sell it to you in your DMs. Right. And I mean, we had a $1.4 million sales month in the pandemic month.
Yeah.
And I don't do real estate. Like those are individual bathrooms and kitchens and additions and things like that. And I was like, holy hell. Now, I know why I got excited about that. And yeah, part of it is definitely having a machine that I built with my team. It's not just Chris building it, by the way. but I built this machine and we hit the button. It's like, holy crap, dollars pop out of the end of that. That's awesome. And it doesn't break. And we can scale it, and we did scale it. But that's not what I was really excited about. It was what I could do with it. So what I'm interested in hearing is, what is the result of you building this scalable thing? What really fires you up?
So it's going to be kind of cool.
Because I know what it is, and I'm gonna make you cry unless you say it.
I'm looking for the scale.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the ability to partner with other agents across the country, not just here, but across the country, and bring two pieces together. One is my training that they can have. We're going to record this, and we're going to do this together. As we can record all of that training, so they get all of that training. And here's a ready, done for you program that you can plug into, so we can take, whether it's a new agent, it's an experienced agent, whoever it is, and we can say, hey, look, do you want this? Because we have this, and be able to take people there. And for me, the really cool thing is being able to help other people.
Yep.
And helping somebody to help themselves and teach them what they need to know, that they don't, because what I do isn't rocket science. It's not hard. It's just over time I've learned and I've built systems, and that makes it work. And so if we can share that with other people, that's cool and exciting.
You know, a lot of people thought I was crazy, but I traded $100,000 to accomplish in 2 years what I couldn't do in 20 by myself. And the one thing about being an entrepreneur is the freedom from it. Like, I get to make all my own decisions. It also is the freedom not to make a dime if you do it wrong.
Right.
But I got sick and tired of the freedom of having to figure it out all by myself. It was just finding people that I trust. And so, you know, when we do our events, you come to every one, it seems like. When we do our events, one of the things that I talk about are core values, right? So what I identified by coaching like thousands of people, especially during that jaunt when I was the director of executive coaching for a really large mastermind group, is that a lot of people don't know who they are. Like, literally, they just haven't taken time to go, what are my core values? Like, they're actually really important. And then the other thing is, they don't identify a target. They'll identify a target if I want to build the business. All right, well, then what? Then what are you going to do? Because one of the secrets to people that are very, very, very successful is, before they get to the finish line with this goal, they already are starting on a new goal. And it looks crazy to some people. It looks really crazy to some people. It's like, why are you doing all these things? It's not. It's for this one thing. For me, it's legacy. It's also to have real freedom. Most people treat money as if it's a real thing, and they allow it to dominate their life. I'm just here to tell people that you'll spend the rest of your life trying to accomplish something that you can't take with you when you go. So it's who I meet along the way. It's what we do along the way. It's the memories that we create along the way. And the money fuels that opportunity for us to do really cool shit. And you're in the process of doing some really, really cool shit. I'm grateful that you're a part of our team, or that you're one of our clients, and that we're a part of your team, because we're going to help you get there. But the thing that I've been most impressed about you is that you truly are not going there by yourself. You're finding the best of the best that you can, and your value off your value giving to people. You're being a go-giver and just allowing the reciprocity to come back. And the neat thing is, there are people in their early 20s, and there are people like us that are in our 50s, and we're all coming together and going, let's level up at the same time. And it's going to make some massive impact. Now, if people wanted to get in touch with you,
yes,
what would be the easiest way for them to do so? Do not give your cell phone number.
The easiest way is right through my website, which is lajoiehometeam.com.
How do you spell Lajoie?
LAJOIE. Hometeam.com.
Hometeam.com. You on socials?
Not really.
We're fixing that too.
We are fixing that.
So if somebody wanted to,
you can find me on Facebook under Lajoie Home Team too.
Okay.
Or my personal Terry Lajoie.
Terry Lajoie. And they can just reach out to you in a DM if they have a question, if they want to know about your program, if they want to talk about real estate, whatever it is. I'm assuming you're not the kind of person that doesn't answer people, right?
No, I will answer them.
Yeah.
I promise.
If anything, you do answer a lot of people. I mean, guys, I'm telling you, she is literally on the phone nonstop. And when she's not on the phone, she's texting on the phone. This woman talks to people. Terry, thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
It will not be the last time that you're here, because we're going to start sharing some wins here soon. And I'm just really grateful we were able to get this in instead of talking for another 2 hours. And crap, we got to do this again another day.
Absolutely.
Hey, everybody, until next time, we'll see you in the trenches. Take care.
I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand.
Hey, friend, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, please leave a review and subscribe to catch future casts. If you really enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it so others can benefit from it as well. I'll see you in the trenches.
Try to catch me howling at the moon.